ladies and gents. We got episode 59 in the works.
Yes, we
this
do.
Beautiful Sunday morning. Stogies and stuff, ladies and gents.
SNS.
Yes, indeed.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to all of those watching.
You know, guys, last night, fucking Jonathan here sent a video to us that scared the shit out of me. It was like this video of like some paranormal activity.
Yeah, it's my TikTok algorithm, man.
It was fucked up, man. It's like, it's one of those videos where there's like a lot of things happening at once, and you go to the comments, and I was reading through the comments like Johnny was telling me, and I was like, yeah, I read it. You can freaking see like a hand figure on the wall, and obviously the paranormal activity, right? There wasn't anything there, but it's those little things that you notice that just brings more fright to it.
And I sent it right before you went to sleep, so
yeah,
sweet
you did.
dreams, man.
He was like, good night.
I was fucking with you, bro.
But
fucking with
that
you.
definitely kept me at edge.
Right. So,
But speaking of on edge,
Being on edge, man. Everybody on the edge apparently this past week. Damn, literally. Freak offs everywhere.
our fellow RGV people, you know what's up.
yeah.
Pun intended. But I think it's just safe to say the name of this podcast got to be "What's up with all these freak offs?"
The freak offs. The valley getting freaky.
True Fit, you know what's up.
All right,
What is up, True Fit?
We got Blue Shirt
let's get into
going
it,
all
man.
up crazy up in there. So, you know, I didn't hear about it until later that day. It was like Thursday, right?
Look, all I gotta
believe?
say is the Valley's always finding a way to make itself get on the map,
Yeah.
and not for the best of reasons. Okay.
Well, because you were telling me this morning that apparently there was another incident. Well, I'll just mention it really briefly, but
P Diddy.
No,
Oh, no.
right,
Oh,
no.
man. Never
No,
mind,
no. The one with the guy and
No,
the
no,
girl
no.
like
John.
walk into a car that didn't belong to them, and they were getting
Oh
freaky.
yeah, I was on what?
That was by 76 right there,
yeah.
uptown.
I don't even know
or
if you
not
call
even
that the
uptown, I
new
don't know what that is.
downtown. You know, we're 76
Uptown.
and they're on Nolana,
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
across y'all's office. as a
Between
matter of
10th,
fact.
yeah, no shit.
What's going on, guys? What
Between
y'all
10th
breathing
and
over
2nd.
here?
So they wanted to up the ante and decided to do it at True Fit.
Yeah. So, that's what they said. We're gonna one
How
up
about you
y'all.
pull up the video, bro? Let's
Let me
start it
pull
off
it
with
up.
that.
I mean,
Let's
I don't take
pull
a
up the
lot of
video.
pride pulling this up, but let's see what we got going on.
Just to give y'all context, I think it's important. Now, is this something we do not condone this. This is
Absolutely
not behavior that anybody should be doing. This is raunchy and ratchy and whatever other fucking definition you want to put. This is lewdness.
Lewd behavior.
You know it when you see it, right, Johnny?
Yeah.
You know, when you see it.
But the question is,
Look, there's fucking people.
All right, let's see what we're looking at. Look at this.
El
pulling up the
cardio
screen.
detrás de eso.
so this is it.
Okay, Valley things. Let's see. Employee doing hot yoga. I don't know, man. Did she get? Okay, I saw some pretty explicit ones too. Let's see.
Chinga, man.
Trying
What
to
were
work-
they thinking,
trying
bro?
to work out. I mean, that looks like. Yeah, that doesn't look too good, man. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, but
God damn.
that really looks like
She get in the pump.
There's some pounding.
there's.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, you can say that.
You saw the head, right? Look
Well,
how
this
it's
is more
jerking back
clear.
and forth. Watch.
True Fit. Come for the game.
See the head?
Leave with meco stays, oye.
Ah.
True sinvergüenzas. Tirando pata en el employees only room. HR's gonna have a field day with this.
Oh shit.
The voice crack.
Todo el queso la señora, güey. En el sauna, güey. No mames. ¿A qué huele?
Okay,
Bro.
So
Look, guys.
what True Fit was this?
This
23rd,
was on
supposedly?
23rd.
So I
Third,
can make
sis?
sure not to go.
Yeah, no
Right.
shit,
Yeah.
bro. But
Wink, wink.
look at the shit they're coming up with.
They're doing reenactments already.
Oh, it's a stretch or whatever. Yeah, it's not what it looks like.
The guy.
Guy, what the fuck? What's this
No,
guy?
man.
This guy looks like he's doing.
He's
a deep dive,
investigating
bro.
it, man.
Yeah.
Así de bajo recursos. Oigan, pues. Okay, so I have a new True Fit Chisme update. So somebody posted this, and it was sent to me, all right? And this is all
Oh, that's sad.
Allegedly. Lawyers, are you seeing this video? Because I'm saying alleged.
Good.
Okay?
That's right. You better.
Okay. So this person posted this. Everyone's been asking me about the incident at the McAllen TrueFit since I know who both people are. The guy was the manager at TrueFit. He's married and has 4 daughters. She is not married and also has 3 small children. The manager's wife, as you can imagine, is a hot mess right now. The world and their family just fall apart and are destroyed. The female trainer knew that he was married and decided to play along. She's since deleted all of her social media. Well, he's married. The female trainer knew he was married.
As he said, alleged. There's no way we can confirm it.
He knows he shouldn't,
Nor have we looked into it, because it isn't something like we're doing our TM'd deep dive into.
But just a quick analysis. So, well, yeah,
let's at least do a quick deep
Start it off,
analysis.
Johnny.
Right. Nothing too lengthy, because
So my understanding is that, I mean, this incident happened. Someone recorded and then they reported it, right? That hey, like there's people having intercourse at the gym, and I think Raza just did their investigation and found out who these people were.
Yeah.
Right, and then that's where they started.
That's where shit started to fall.
Spilling the tea. But I guess let's talk about the criminal aspect. Can these people get charged, Mike?
Well, here's the problem, right? There's a concept in the law called public lewdness. And without getting too detailed in the legal terminology, it's basically don't be showing yourself naked or doing intimate acts in public like that.
would you say that's an intimate act?
Well, the question becomes if it is an intimate act. I mean, you see jokes there, right? Of people stretching each other out, which is exactly the kind of, yeah, no shit. But that's the exact kind of reasonable doubt that comes into play, right? Unless they explicitly and they verbally state we were doing this and confirm it, which I don't advise they do.
So there's a defense.
Without that, there's a defense, because I mean, unless that shit's recorded somewhere back there, I don't know. But there's no way you can fully say that what's happening is what's happening. In other words, if there's a possible or reasonable explanation as to what's going on, a possible without confirming on their end, then I don't see it happening, right? So let's at least say what the elements are.
There you go.
For public lewdness. Let's at least do that, right? And I'm pulling it up here because this isn't something I defend on a daily, so I don't have that shit in memory like I would others. But a person commits it if they knowingly engage in sexual intercourse, deviant sexual intercourse, or sexual contact in a public place, or if not in a public place, they are reckless about whether another person is present who will be offended or alarmed by the act. It's a class A misdemeanor. Yeah. So this is something that you could face up to a year in prison for, or jail for. Right, it's a big deal, guys. I mean, you think about it. Do you want to spend a year in jail for doing something stupid or reckless like this?
Hell no.
This is something that probably falls more in the latter, where I said they are reckless about whether another person is present or who will be offended or alarmed by the act. Now, obviously, there was Facebook posts, right? You said of women saying, I'm going to unenroll. Was it you, Mowdy?
About what?
I think someone said that they were going to unenroll like their husbands from the TrueFit or whatever.
The way I got wind of this, the way I got wind of this whole ordeal was just because I saw a lot of friends on social media making some comments about what they were going to be doing with TrueFit, and I was like, what the heck are all these people talking about? Like, why is everybody talking about TrueFit so much? And before I knew it, it just didn't take me long. I look in the comments and people saying, yeah, man, that trainer, I know him and her. And, they were just, it's all wrong. And basically comments being made out there by different professions. I have some agents, real estate agents saying they're going to cancel their husband's TrueFit, basically membership. Any and all cardio can be done at the home. You got others putting posts men lined up out of TrueFit trying to get private sessions with this trainer, and it's like, damn, everybody's putting their own take into it. And I think we even had all of us had a mutual friend put up their business about, if businesses really want to protect their privacy and what people can see.
The Black Diamond. That shit was good, by the way. George, viral. Good shit.
That was hilarious.
That was good.
But as you guys were talking about this, Johnny, I know you sent this over. City of McAllen or McAllen PD is doing an actual investigation on this now.
Yeah, it's serious.
It
serious
says,
thing.
you know, pulling it up on the screen, McAllen police investigating public sex allegations at gym. Center has right here, McAllen, Texas.
Oh,
McAllen
shit, they're
police,
actually investigating it.
are searching to find the identity of individuals accused of public lewdness. This is what you brought up. After video circulating online appeared to depict sexual conduct at a Traffic in McAllen. Police say they received a call on Thursday regarding a social media post depicting a video of people inside Traffic Athletic Club, and officers responded to the 5300 block on 23rd Street at around 4:30 p.m. Thursday. And that's when it went viral on Thursday. So it was all there. However, when they arrived, they did not report seeing any sexual activity on the scene. Say this is an ongoing investigation. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like the only evidence they got is that video.
Yeah, I mean, look, will there probably be divorce filings of these people? Maybe, who knows, like of the guy. But it's very important, and this isn't me advising anybody. It's just from a common sense standpoint. Don't fucking admit to it.
I don't think you heard me the first time. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Right?
Well, yeah.
For purposes of you know, if you're gonna consult with an attorney about this, I will leave it to your attorney to advise you on what to do. But we just read it, right? This isn't me telling anybody not to like do anything. We read out loud what the elements required for lewdness are, and from a general standpoint, unless you admit to it, it really now falls into the recklessness category. And now it's up to you to see what witnesses say on whether they think they were being reckless because they could see some sort of lewd act occurring behind the frosted glass. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the idea behind it. Is like, one, why do that shit there, right? It's like, why
on, man.
Why put yourself under that risk?
We're not saying don't have sex,
but it makes sense. I mean, because one, it's the idea like, oh, you know, we need to spice things up. Let's do it in a public place, right? That's crazy.
So they give him a thrill.
It's freaky.
But then it's like, well, apparently he was married, so it makes sense, right?
Why he did that shit at work instead of somewhere?
Well, you have to, right? Because the wife's gonna find out.
Yep.
Just dumbass. She's
well,
still
yeah,
found
bro.
out.
You know what's fucked up? Look, that's fucked up, guys. Don't do any of that shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's not right, whatever. But without getting detail into that, it doesn't require any more input, man. Yeah. It's just like, you know, be better.
Yeah. Just be better, man.
And look, this isn't the end for you, man. You can be redeemed. If you did this shit, apologize, do what you got to do, and fucking move forward, and don't do this stupid shit again. But that's it.
You know, people are people, man. You're gonna make mistakes.
People are people.
No one's perfect.
You learn from your mistakes. That's it. But speaking of lewd activity and freaking off,
let's get to the nitty gritty, man. The shit everybody talking about. Fuck. Diddy Combs, guys.
Puff Daddy.
Sean.
Did he do it?
Puffing those daddies.
Did he not?
Did he do it or did he not do it? As 50 Cent says himself, Curtis Jackson.
From bad boy to bad news.
Oh God, there's so many out there, man.
I know.
Shit. Let's talk about these.
Bad boy.
Let's talk about this national freak off, man. Apparently, everybody part of this damn freak off, bro. Look at this. As soon as I just
her too, and
I don't know, man. I mean, you got it. This is very interesting take, guys.
Yeah, let's add some context to
yes. I mean, initially, the overview of the whole Diddy trial is basically they're charging him with 3 charges, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah,
it's sex trafficking,
3 main charges.
Yeah, racketeering, and what's the other one?
It's the RICO, right? It's the RICO.
Well, racketeering falls along the RICO, no?
Right.
Sex trafficking. What else?
I'll tell you right now.
Prostitution and racketeering.
Yeah, right.
Sex trafficking, prostitution, racketeering charges.
So this is a federal case.
It is.
And the racketeering is how they're getting everything clumped together.
Right.
But go ahead, Johnny.
Oh, so this is a federal case in New York. So that's where that's the jurisdiction.
I think the Southern
right
District,
now. Right.
of New York.
But you know what amazes me is you're getting so many. It's not uncommon to see things like this in different industries, such as entertainment. You got music, you got sports, you got anything. I mean, there's just so many different industries that cater to high influence and, you know, acts like this. So I don't think we're necessarily shocked that something like this is going on. It's just the fact of how deep it got. You know, you got all these alleged facts or conspiracies that there's so many government officials involved, so many celebrities that would go to these freak offs, and apparently it was distributed 2 different times. The first part of the party of these white parties, because this is where it would happen, would be in the, I guess, early in the day, and then anywhere after 12 or 11, or I don't know what the actual time was there's this whole different type of party where the kids and everybody had to leave, and he would make it known. There'd be videos and say, all right, guys, your kids and you guys, family, you got 1 more hour to be here, and then after that, it's a whole different party. This is all evidence being used against them. So now, how in depth or how deep did these parties get? That it was causing the government to initially get involved.
Yeah, and I just two really quick points to add more context. So one, the whole RICO, right? What's RICO? Racketeering, influence, and the Corrupt Organization Act that they're trying to charge them, and that's essentially an organized enterprise, right? That apparently Diddy ran. The question is, if it's an organized, why the fuck is he the only one being charged? Right? Typically, you have other defendants, that were a part of it. So I guess let's dive deeper into it.
I mean, that is the question, right? I mean, you see something like this, and I've seen it said, a lot of people are comparing this to the Epstein, right? They're comparing this to the level of, well, it's literally the same analogy, right? Why was... I don't know what the specific charges were against Epstein, but I'm sure it was a lot of the same. Epstein was the only one charged, along with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right.
So who was Diddy's Ghislaine Maxwell? If he had one, or maybe he was one of the same. But the problem here is, we know for a fact it wasn't just Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell involved in criminal activity. But yet that's what they were charging. You can say, I don't give a shit what you say, actually, like in general. But allegedly, it's only Diddy involved in this. But we all know it's not.
Right. No, there's no way.
His bodyguards, his close liaisons, supplying the drugs during the freak-offs, because we know that during this shit, baby oil would run out after getting splattered everywhere.
If you guys remember, he fucking had a shitload of baby oil.
Yeah, I mean, remember that shit? You had cabinetry full of it. Like, they made all these fucking memes of it, I think, no? Yeah. Fucking bad. It's not a funny matter, but the memes were funny, guys. Right.
They're fucking hilarious.
It's because if I understand what you're saying is that in order for this charge to be for the prosecution to meet the elements of this charge, they have to showcase that it involved more people or an actual organization, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, because look, there's a it's called mens rea, intent, in every criminal matter brought against anybody.
Guilty act.
That's the biggest difference between civil and criminal, right? You kind of wonder here. Number one, why are we even here? Why isn't this something that should just be in a civil court? Well, for Diddy, it's in both. He's got 60 plus cases in civil courts from multiple plaintiffs, hundreds of people. Literally, I think Busby's representing a lot of minors at the time that were minors when these acts occurred, unfortunately. But the biggest difference between the both is the intent behind it. The civil aspect is, well, I didn't mean to hurt someone. It was negligible, or it was something that occurred that I should have known better from. But my intent wasn't to hurt. The criminal is, no, I did this on purpose, and I meant to do that. And I'm going to say I didn't, but that's where the prosecution comes in, and they have to prove that it was the mens rea, the intent to commit these acts. What acts are we talking about? The RICO, which was the Racketeering, Influence, a Corrupt Organization. But what is this organization? Here's the crazy part. The government does not need to prove there was an actual organization. The government just needs to prove that it appears to be a corrupt organization based off of the acts of the defendant. So it's interesting, right? So what acts are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the sexual conduct. We're talking about the prostitution, the pay for hire of sexual acts, which is illegal. And we're talking about all the trafficking. Now, when you combine those together, unfortunately, I'm sure there's a lot of smaller scales of those things that make it what's called intrastate within the state. So whenever it's within a state and you cannot prove that it occurred out of there, nor were there wire transfers, things like that come from banks out of the state, then it becomes a matter for the state to handle. But in this instance, the reason why we're in the federal jurisdiction is because this happened all over the world. Internationally, in Spain, you name it. I think Spain was one location, Ibiza or something like that.
Right.
And also outside of state lines, which makes it interstate and international, which now kicks in federal jurisdiction, which puts the AUSAs or assistant United States attorneys and even United States attorneys telling the state, you know what, step aside, guys, we got this. We're going to go prosecute this with the full weight of the federal government behind us.
Yeah, interstate transport for prostitution, so use of private jets and luxury hotels to move women across state lines for sexual exploitation.
Yeah, so it's crazy, guys. It's an interesting case on, well, why are they going after Diddy and not everybody else? I mean, that is a whole different intent behind the government. You know, obviously it's to deter acts like this. They don't want to allow acts like this. But, you know, you hear these things and you're like, how soon did they catch wind of this? Like, why are they just prosecuting this now? And I think it all turns to when Cassie first filed her civil lawsuit that settled within hours after she filed it.
Yeah, so one, I mean, it's a federal case, so we're not allowed live access, right? Like for example, that Alec Baldwin trial.
Yeah,
where
that's right.
He accidentally shot that one a videographer. So we can only provide what's being told to us after the days conclude in the trial. So right now, I believe it started May 5th, May 18th now. So we're like 2 weeks into this trial, roughly. No, I think like a week in.
Yeah. So you guys while you guys were talking about, basically, I mean, you guys were giving your intake as far as the setting of this, right?
Yeah, some context. What got us here?
I was doing a little bit more of a deep dive into basically the role of a freak off.
Oh,
That's
shit.
actually what the government is really, really pinning the nail on. Okay. You know, everybody's talking about, whoa, why is there a RICO case on this, racketeering and stuff like that? It's because if you look at the general definition of racketeering, what is racketeering? If you guys had to go ahead and...
Coercion.
Racketeering? That's a good question.
So I'm going to pull it up on the screen. And, of course, you know what I mean? It's just a general Google search already. But we got right here. It is a pattern of illegal activity often involving a criminal enterprise carried out for financial gain through fraud, extortion, bribery, or violence. Already, that is what sets you up basically for a RICO case. So they're saying that the role of these freak-offs is what it's initially bringing about his charges for racketeering. And so the way it was bringing it up, I mean, you got a whole article here as well that the today.com is bringing up. And there's a few other news sources out there that are saying what the government is saying this, that as far as what a freak off basically fucking is. Okay. So what they're saying is freak offs refer to elaborate marathon sex parties that Diddy alleged orchestrated, often involved drugs, hired male escorts, and his then girlfriend Cassie Ventura. These events were meticulously planned, with Combs dictating costumes, sexual acts, and even details like lighting and nail color. Now, this is where it gets really good. Central to sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Prosecutors...
We can't see it, bro.
Well, I'm barely going to get to it.
Oh, okay.
Prosecutors argue that freak-offs were not merely private sexual encounters, but were commercially, criminally organized events. They allege, right, and it's not verbatim off of this. I'm just summarizing what this all is, okay? They allege that Combs and his associates transported sex workers across state and international lines, as you're talking about. So it wasn't just like in one location. This was in international areas. Arranged accommodations and provided drugs and supply actions that are key to federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. The prosecution claims that these events were facilitated by the network of Combs employees and associates who handled logistics, paid sex workers, and ensured these events ran smoothly. So the fact that all of this happened internationally and that it was basically orchestrated to run so fucking smoothly is basically why they're saying, hey, this is why we're bringing about these racketeering charges. It was just, I mean, think about it. When you get to that level of orchestrating something that big, and it was the influence it had on multiple people, not just, for all we know there was a shitload of celebrities there, you know, but what about, I'm sure that, come on, guys. I'm sure there were some politicians involved, higher influential people outside of just celebrities that have power that he could probably, and I'm sure he has a list, and I'm sure the government has a list too, as far as who was there and what type of power that would initially give him over these people.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, a lot of interesting facts though are, you look at these people that were involved in these freak-offs, my understanding is they were paid escorts. So they received money for these acts.
So they got a benefit from it.
Not only that, they consented to it. Like, if you're receiving money in exchange for these acts, it's contract for hire, right? Mm-hmm. The question becomes, were the acts that they were performing legal or not? Well, guys, there's fucking porn. And there's all types of porn, right? And I don't condone any of that, but it's the same concept what I'm getting at, right? Diddy was just, unfortunately, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm not defending him, nor do I condone those acts, by the way, if true.
You're saying, yeah.
But it's like he created his own pornography, you know, live, as opposed to fucking buying movies and shit.
Is that illegal? No. Well, unless you
That's
distribute,
the question.
unless you start distributing
this
it.
is the question.
That's
is that
the
illegal
thing.
or not?
Right.
How was he doing it? The manner he was doing it, but this guy was just creating his own pornographies, aka freak-offs.
His own library of.
It's fucked up the way it sounds, but is it illegal? I don't know. Here's the question, and here's why they're bringing in these facts. What did she say? Oh, he put me in a contract with his label to do 10 albums. He released the first album. I kept recording, but he wasn't releasing them. That's where it starts to become a sort of illegal, because that's where the coercion and the duress comes in, because using that against her contractually to force her to do these things is that influence,
and that's exactly
that creates the corrupt organization.
And it's funny you say that. That's exactly what the prosecution is saying. That these freak-offs were to establish a pattern of coercion and exploitation, arguing that they were not isolated incidents, but part of a broader criminal enterprise.
Yeah, because
so this is how he would basically set people up. It's like, hey, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm gonna exploit your ass.
Well, that's the thing, because I mean, obviously the prosecution has the indictment, which is where they laid out the charges and the alleged facts of when and what took place. But not only that, in trial they have to prove that. They have to prove what happened in court. And right now Cassie is the key witness from what I'm seeing, right? So what my understanding is that the government's using her to go back, right? Go back throughout the years and establish that track record of illegal activity, which is the racketeering, right? With her, they're establishing the timeline.
What were the key moments for week one of the trial? Okay, let's really get into that, because that's where the media's really been getting
honing in.
And you know what? There's some limitations right now. You guys are only able to kind of see some sketches and stuff like that, but there's no actual live video going on. This is a government trial. I hear it's basically at the top of the top, because that's how serious it is. So there's limitations there. So from what a key moment right there, obviously, Cassie Ventura is the highlight right now. 4 days of basically an emotional testimony. And so basically she's the central witness describing these freak-offs and how drugs were involved, how these were days long, more than 1 day.
Well,
you know,
during that time she was
freak-offs.
She was his girlfriend, right? So
yes. So it starts off with, let's show this. Basically the video of, see if it shows off here.
Great information.
I want to get to.
I see a hotel beating video. The hotel does not have a major advocate for victims' rights. also a member of the media for one of the days of court.
Let
Your
me-
thoughts on
Let me just find the video itself.
What video are we looking for?
What basically got all of this to unfold, which
Oh.
was
Oh yeah, on the footage in the hotel.
yeah. I mean, we all know it already. This is what
The
this
infamous.
is what really just got it all to blow up. And this was back in 2016 from what we're seeing.
That's her.
Now, apparently this
Obtained exclusively by CNN appears to corroborate some of the allegations of
What's
abuse
she doing there, Mo?
against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
I'm going to tell you right
The
now.
video, captured on multiple cameras, shows Combs assaulting his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hallway at a Los Angeles hotel in March 2016.
That's intense, bro.
That's a
lawsuit
whole ass
filed by
kick, bro.
Ventura in
Fuck,
November last
too.
year and settled the next day referenced actions that seem to match those seen in this video. There is no audio. According to the complaint, Combs became extremely intoxicated and
So we all saw that video when it first surfaced, okay, and this happened back in 2016. But what a lot of people weren't necessarily aware of is was she just leaving just to leave? Like what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this was all during a freak off. So they were taking a break, getting ready, basically, because like I said, these acts would be going on for days on end. It's not like it'd just be couple hours and then you're done. No,
This was like
They were-
24 to 72 hour sessions, I believe, right?
yes, they'd be exhausting, and you know, they'd take some breaks, and before you knew it, there'd be some reports of people saying that after they were done with the room, there'd be a really pungent smell, from candles to baby oil to urine to just mix all that
You
shit
name it,
up,
guys.
and it's
That's
just
fucking
like
disgusting.
damn, like, you know.
It's a cesspool.
Look, I mean, and
DNA.
yeah, and look, obviously, there's people out there with fetishes like that, so to each their own. But guys, from the standpoint of the stuff that Cassie went through, we're giving you that context, right?
Yes, and the reason why is because the prosecution is using Casey as a pivot point to really get the jurors to understand the severity behind these acts. Like, these weren't just normal swinging events. I mean, days on end, guys, completely orchestrated with planning, international
IV fluids.
sites. Exactly. Like, this was like, no, this is the real deal. This is as bad as it gets. And so basically a key part of this case that the prosecution used was how the freak offs were explained as evidence. And so one of the things that was noted during the trial was how the jury or the jurors were reacting towards these explicit content, from still images to video. So again, right here reporting, jurors were often shown still images from the freak offs on Wednesday. So this is already towards the end of the week or midweek. Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Krapf said jurors were visibly shaken by the evidence. One female juror was observed taking a deep breath and resting her hand on her chest. A male juror was seen quickly looking away from the evidence screen. So obviously it's pretty disturbing. You know, there's nothing on there that made it feel like, hey, this is pretty normal.
Yeah.
Right? Or this
That's
is what
the
to
big key.
expect with swinging. I mean, you guys
That's the
were
big
going
key.
on a deep dive as far as like, what were you guys saying? What does it look like, or it's as simple as what does that
you
act
know
look
when you
like?
see it.
Yeah, you know it when you
When
see
it's
it.
obscene.
Obscene, correct.
And so the fact that the jury saw these photographs of the aftermath, including even Ventura's swollen lip, also from that hotel video that you saw, it's not necessarily putting his defense in the best position for that. So, of course, now the defense is coming back saying they presented text messages between Ventura and Combs. Again, Ventura is Miss Casey, suggesting that Ventura appeared eager to participate in the freak-offs, aiming to cast doubt in the prosecution narrative of coercion. Let me share where I'm getting that information from next. And so it's actually... It should be...
Yeah.
There's a whole video of it. I'm not sure. Let's see. I don't want to take too much time on this
Yeah,
because we got a lot to go over. But let me see what we're seeing here. So
This is just a quick run through, guys.
Hi there, Judge Ashley and Michael. Defense counsel closed out the day here in New York City on a big end. They were putting up some text messages, some communications that took place between Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura, one of which was Cassie texting Sean saying, baby, I just want to do another freak off, but I don't want to get messed up. This was shortly before that incident, that graphic video we saw inside that Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, California, in which Sean Diddy Combs is seen dragging and beating Cassie. We did catch up with Cassie's defense counsel, or her counsel rather, her civil counsel, earlier today. This was before court began. Let's listen to what he had to say.
She's doing well here the rest of the night, ready to cross-examination, and we're very confident that she's going to do a good perfect.
And she did hold up pretty well on the stand today. We also caught some images of Alex Fine. This is Cassie Ventura's
because she's pregnant too, right?
As he was making his way inside the courtroom as well. Additionally, we caught up with some of Combs' defense attorneys as they were making their way inside the courthouse. We do have some full screens to put up for you of some of the testimony because this is federal court, so we do not have sound, but we can tell you about some of the things that were said. She did testify, Cassie did, that her friends knew about the abuse because they often witnessed it. Her parents and brother knew about the abuse as well. Throughout their relationship, they both did a lot of drugs. Also, some of the testimony today did include some other matters, including these text messages about the freak-offs that were presented to the jury. In one exchange in 2017, Ventura told Combs to stop playing the victim. That's all you wanted. That's why I was upset. I love our freak-offs when we both want it. She said that loving freak-off explicit.
So that's when it gets really controversial, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, this is when you can really fuck with the juror's position. Okay, so was she really condoning this behavior, or was it really more of a mental?
You a victim blamer?
No, I mean it gets. I know. I'm just saying, like, it gets pretty complicated, man. Like, one can get
extremely.
Well, because that's where we have to break down the whole force or extortion aspect of this act.
Right. You have an agreement. You have someone who you're paying or married to, or someone that consents, which is what the defense is trying to say in these texts, that she consented to these freak-offs by not only acknowledging them, but saying that she loves them or loved them. And the question becomes, well, you're saying this, but read between the lines for me. Like, tell me what's going on here. What doesn't make sense here? Or tell me, make it make sense. So that is the question. What's the connection, right? Like, how is this an influence for a corrupt organization? The racketeering aspect is the force,
right,
and getting her to do these things, right? And the influence is obviously it's P. Diddy, record label holder, you name it, or I'm going to control how I release your albums, etc. But what's the bridge gap here?
Right. Apparently, from what I've heard about her testimony, is that the way she was coerced was by, if she didn't perform in these freak-offs or participate, that apparently, and the ones she participated in would get leaked out, that he would leak out these video footages. Right?
So that was the extortion.
So that's the extortion aspect of it. However,
well, there's more to add to that too. Also, like on the extortion side, I mean, the only time she could ever get him to talk about finishing or fulfilling the contract of these 10 albums was apparently whenever she'd participate in talking
in the freak-offs.
Yeah. That was the only thing too as well. And like we said, only one album since they've been together was ever pushed down. This was back at when she was, I think, 19 or 20 years old, you know. That was the only album ever pushed out, and then you had basically 9 more albums that needed to get fulfilled, and they just never did.
The issue becomes, though, it's what they mention as a closing of a loop, right? Because of course, I mean, she's getting threatened, right? But now is she obviously telling him no? Like, you know what, no, I'm not going to do this. or is it like, obviously, like most people don't want to be put in that situation, but are you making it known that, you know what, I'm not going to do it regardless of what you tell me or regardless of what, you know, what you threaten me with?
Mm-hmm.
Is she forced to participate, or, you know, she's like, well, I have no choice, so I got to do it? Is that, you know, is that the
well,
force
that is
or
the central
coercion?
question.
Right.
Yeah, that is the central question is, did she ever tell him no? I don't know. That's a fact question for the jury to think of, because it's pretty clear that the prosecution's having to make a case out of, well, guys, you can see what's going on. She didn't say no. No, in the text she said, yeah, she'll participate, but no. Like, look at the dynamic, the power. Diddy has keys to the city, like that figurative, you know how they give a key or whatever to Manhattan. He's got political influence. He's got friends in the political atmosphere. He's got friends within the, I'd say the fucking force, the, you know, whether it's police or FBI, whatever, I don't know. I'm sure he's got friends in there.
Mm-hmm.
You have someone with all this power, and you're thinking, if you're in Cassie's shoes, you're thinking, if I say something, I'm going to get it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only now,
I
say these freak-offs to kind of temper the amount of freak-offs and to try to just start it limited, because I feel like if I start to tell him I don't like it, he's probably going to force me to do more because he wants that shit.
But that's in her head.
That's in her head, yeah. That's
Right.
the subjective part. How are they going to tell that story, and did they effectively do it while they had her on the stand?
Right.
The prosecution's called her off already. They're done. So they can't recall her
anymore. Right. Oh, okay. They can't.
They can ask to recall her later to save her to be recalled, but once the prosecution's done, the only way they can get to questioning her again is if the defense calls her in their case.
So it's done then.
So it's done.
So the question is, did they close that loop in terms of, did she obviously state that, like, no, I don't want to be a part
And
of
without looking at the transcripts, without being able to see that, I don't know if they did. Like, I don't know. I mean, because all the media does with this is create doubt.
Yeah.
Like, they're not putting, and they don't have to, right? Because it's not like they're working for the prosecution. But it doesn't tell to me that there was a clear narrative or a clear takeaway. And imagine how the jury feels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right now, I don't have a clear takeaway on, yeah, Diddy made her do this.
Mm-hmm.
The takeaway I have is, I'm sure there were instances where she wasn't in the mood or whatever, but she probably ended up agreeing to it. Because as she always has, she told him, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I mean, does this look like somebody that loves it? I mean, this was a little further down. This was some more security footage that hadn't necessarily been released by the public.
This was after, like, he beat her in the elevator?
Yeah, so this was...
That's that bodyguard, right?
That
The
security guard that was also brought up to
testify.
And he was he also shared that Diddy gave him some, or offered to give him some money, which he declined to take, basically saying hush, like don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But he was there and he was able to have a conversation with them, and he said he didn't necessarily really notice Casey's purple eye or something about that until he looked further into it. But it just comes down to show that there wasn't necessarily consent there anymore. If someone's trying to leave and people are complaining, calling like, hey, we hear a woman under duress, can you guys go check up into it? Can the defense really make the argument like, no, that she still wanted this?
Right.
Because just because you consent in the beginning doesn't mean you can't necessarily stop, especially when everybody's already taken a break. You know, these are days long, so you can really say, I'm going to give my consent for all these days without me ever second guessing. No, I don't think so. I mean, Mike's the attorney here. Can you do that?
What was the
For
question?
that big difference of time span, can you say that, hey, if I consented from early on, you know, this morning, hey, we're going to do this freak off, but we take a break because it goes on for a couple of days, that consent stays in play?
That is that is actually a fact question, right? So the legal authority says consent is explicit. It can be implied through, actions, but that's where it gets very gray.
Mm-hmm.
The best consent is explicit, which is a text or a verbal saying, yes, I agree.
Now, when you see this, though, with her trying to leave, couldn't you argue?
Well, that's implied that there's no longer consent.
Right.
It's implied that if he's forcing her back into the room and you got footage of him dragging her ass, then that's pretty clear.
Yeah,
it's still gray.
So you know how you guys were
but it's
bringing
clear.
up, like, lewdness and all this stuff, right? saying
that you know it when you see it.
yes. That kind of falls into this, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the gray aspect. That's the fact question of you got a room 12 jurors, and the question becomes based on that act, even though we don't have a verbal or text saying she doesn't want to, based on her trying to leave, is that
And during
lack
the
of
event
consent?
of a freak off, right?
Yeah. And guys, the reason why we're focusing in on this is to show the coercion.
Right.
To show the force aspect.
Because
of
there's
it.
no, at least from what we have, right? Only the
Right.
jury currently right now is able to see what these freak offs were looking like.
Yeah.
So they can kind of tell whether or not someone's being forced to do this.
Yeah.
And again, all of this is role playing. From what I'm understanding, they're being paid to make it look like they like this stuff. So I don't know if you can take the video footage as
telling you.
none of them actually want to do this.
Yeah, it's like, but you accept the money for this, right? Yes, I did. And you knew exactly what it was going to entail, didn't you? Yes. Because as a matter of fact, there was production behind it, wasn't there? Yes. There was lighting that was set up in the corner of this room, correct? In the corner of that room, yes, there was. As a matter of fact, was there even a director? Yes. Who was the director? Oh, it was P. Diddy himself. Okay. So what did P. Diddy tell you to do? He told me to do this and this. And you agreed to do it? Yes, I did. And when you agreed to do it, you knew that it was something that you didn't like, didn't you? Yes, I did. But you still decided to move forward with it anyway, didn't you? Yes, I did. Because you knew that you were being paid for this, right? Yes. And even though you were getting paid for this, you were okay with it, weren't you? Well, yeah, at the time, but no, you were okay with it, weren't you? Yes.
Yeah, and it goes back to that word that you mentioned, explicit, right? Because now let's say if that person is a witness, will that person state that Cassie, because Cassie was apparently involved in this, right? Like, for example, when that guy got paid, apparently he was paid to, perform sexual acts on her or fucking urinate on her.
Jules or whatever.
Right. So the question will become, like, if they ask him, did she ever say no, like, stop? Right?
Well, yeah, because it's interesting because Diddy's no longer the one performing the act. It's an actor. And right, did Cassie ever tell the guy, I need you to stop?
Like, I don't want to do this.
Well, they're going to fucking say no, because if not, then they're going to be charged with rape. Right? I don't know. That's a very interesting question. Can a rape charge through an actor, and this isn't a rape charge, right? But, continuing the furtherance of the acts. Remember, guys, most of the time, Diddy was either masturbating or directing these acts, right? Full on production, what was going on? Like, here. wait. Pause. But that's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that. I guess we're going to see how that unfolds in trial, how they're going to paint that.
Right.
I've never been a part of having to or look into a matter like that, right? So I'm not going to act like I would know the legal answer to that. It appears to be a fact question, right?
Right, if he's going to incriminate himself. Because both teams, whether it's the prosecution or the defense, just have to do a really good job of explicitly showing that they either wanted to or didn't want to take part into this.
Yes, that's it, because that's where the criminal act comes in, the sexual trafficking. It's only trafficking if you have someone that doesn't want to partake in it, right? Like where it becomes the borderline illegal. I'm not saying that's the only way it becomes trafficking. It's not right, guys. Don't do that shit, all right? But I'm saying for purposes of this case, they got to show that nobody was consenting to this shit.
So, I mean, it's crazy, man.
Now it's getting pretty wild, man. And again, this is just week 1.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just week 1. Apparently, there's going to be a few more weeks to really break all this down and come to a conclusion for it all.
Yeah.
But from what I'm seeing, again, going over the highlights, summing it up, Miss Ventura was basically on the stand for 4 days. The hotel assault video was shown to the jury. Testimony from the hotel security guard. You had graphic details showing video and photos to the jury about what these freak-offs actually look like. And again, you had the defense in their end saying, hey, well, we've got text messages with Miss Ventura and Combs suggesting that Ventura was eager to participate in these freak-offs, right? But then at the same time, you can circle back to the video saying, well, even if she consented at some points, doesn't necessarily mean consent was there at all times, And
that's always the
thing
freaking
is,
question, man.
Yeah, always. But the thing is, I think what intensifies it even more is the fact of how abusive it was.
Yeah.
And that this actually happened during a freak off. So then I think the prosecution can say, well, look, guys, everybody confirmed that this was during a freak off, and she's trying to leave, and look at how abusive it got. And again, everybody's sharing that this wasn't the only time, that they would see it quite often. So if this happened already once during a freak off, and multiple witnesses that would get to observe Diddy and Miss Ventura all together through different events also knew that it was an abusive relationship, it becomes, I mean, in my opinion, it still goes against Diddy, but I don't know. We're gonna go ahead and see. Wouldn't be surprised.
And guys, if we had to do a takeaway right now, so far from what's been presented, what do you think they're trying to say? Because this goes to the heart of the RICO case. There's 3 things required for a RICO case, and we'll start with the first one. I'll give you all 3, but we'll start with the first. The first is a purpose. A purpose is required. The second is relationships among those associated with the enterprise. And the third is sufficient longevity to pursue the enterprise's purpose. But guess what? It all goes back to the purpose. So right now, we should be able to have an indication of where the prosecution's taking it. What is the purpose that you all think they're trying to say all this shit was done for? Was it solely for P. Diddy's record label? Was it for, the freak off aspect of it, pure pleasure? But which I don't think is illegal, but I don't know, right? I'm not in the prosecution's shoes. I don't know.
Right.
Like, what's the purpose for all this?
I mean, unless there's some high influential people he's got a power over as well.
Right.
That's the thing, and that's not currently being disclosed yet. And
That's
it could be
right.
the fact that
That's
they're
right.
waiting to go ahead and share this later on throughout the week.
Yeah, because that's where it
That's what
becomes
we
like
don't know.
like to me, from the public aspect, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, but why? Like, P. Diddy at the end of the day is a celebrity. I mean, yes, he's got a lot of money and power. There's no taking that away, but what's his purpose? Is he like the way Epstein was, is he a conduit that higher ups are utilizing to get other people blackballed or blackmailed to do certain things for them? Is he a pawn in the grander scheme of things of a larger separate entity and organization? Because remember, the interesting thing about racketeering is that it's not required to show that it's in continuation of the enterprise of P. Diddy's, but it's required to show that it's a part of a larger scheme or enterprise. What that scheme or enterprise is yet is going to be the difficult part for the government to show, right?
Well, like, one can argue this. We all know he had a shitload of baby oil, right? You can only imagine how much fucking drugs he actually had also. So, because of how big this got, a government can actually say, well, we need to look into this. Is he becoming somewhat of a drug trafficker now?
Yeah, and let me read to y'all what I'm reading.
Okay.
That way you can see. So it's 2 cases cited for this: United States versus Payne and United States versus Mazie, and 3 actually, United States versus Burden. And in these cases, the courts emphasize that the enterprise must be an entity separate from the pattern of racketeering activity. So separate from what Diddy's doing right now, right? The production of these freak-offs, whatever. But the entity must be separate from that activity, even though the evidence used to prove the enterprise and the pattern may overlap. So they're overlapping at some point. The distinction ensures that the enterprise is not merely a collection of individuals committing isolated or sporadic criminal acts, but a cohesive unit with a common purpose. So essentially, you have the racketeering activity going on here with Diddy, the sex trafficking and all that. Who's a separate entity? Right? What separate entity is P. Diddy a part of, that, or his people, that are in furtherance of this the purpose that this separate entity has? That's my thinking. I don't know if that's the case, right? I'm just going off of, what the case law is interpreted to be. But that becomes the question. What's the purpose of this separate entity? And there isn't evidence to that yet. But that's why I'm asking for your general take right now. What do you think that would even be?
Well,
and you were already getting into it.
Drug trafficking is one. I mean, if it was as intense as they brought it up, and you had all these monumental white parties, I think they were annually.
Right.
And then, granted, there wasn't the only event, but that was just the biggest one from what I would hear.
That's his mode of distributing.
Yeah, maybe I can get some more victims, highly influential, highly powered victims here that were then underneath my control, because guess what? I've got the drugs to get them into the mood already. I've got the sex here. How can I entice them to want to participate? Well, I've got, all these different type of women and men all different ages. They're all lined up for you. Hey, general public, crowd, media, you guys got to leave. It's already after hours. Hey guys, come on down to the real event.
Yeah.
Which one do you want? So now, how do you have all of that? How do you have all of that organized if you are not coordinating? Hey, I need the best of these drugs. Find them for me. I need these type of age group as far as sex trafficking. Find them for me and make sure they're here at this time. So it's no more just about, hey, this is a casual thing.
Yeah.
I'm just a casual swinger. It's like, no, you orchestrated all of this.
Right.
You got all these drugs lined up from this cartel member. You made sure you had inventory always. You also made sure you always had sex workers of all these ages. So one could say you definitely meet the guidelines for this. It got dangerous.
Well, right.
You became a threat to everybody.
Right. And that may be their theme.
But that's just me bringing it up.
That's why you're actually
know.
finally doing something that the prosecution, my understanding, hasn't done efficiently.
Or they haven't gotten there yet.
No, they need to have done it already. You can't put the cart before the horse. Think about that. If I'm the jury, why the fuck am I here right now? Yes, I'm hearing this evidence. It looks bad. Like, fuck.
But all is showing that he's abusive.
Right. How is this showing an enterprise? What the fuck is the story? P. Diddy is racketeering as part of RICO because of what?
Yeah.
And my position,
I don't know.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. My position would be, look, on the prosecution side, guys, he's able to do this to his wife, someone he loves. What's to say he can't do this to anybody else, any other stranger he doesn't have any kind of personal connection to?
Well, yeah, bro. I mean, 2 points to the first question you asked. What's the purpose? Because the way I see it, it's either on P. Diddy's perspective, it's either his personal hedonism or for his pleasure, or to further that organization in terms of sex trafficking, right?
Right.
For example, it's a local Epstein Island with people over the age, right? So one, in the personal side, is he doing it for his pleasure, like you were describing it? I think you did a good job describing his fucking
white parties and shit.
Yeah. Well, he may fucking inadvertently, created a sex organization, right, for his pleasure. Like, that's where he fucked up. 2, the government may just be trying to take down a palm in this, organization, and then maybe go for the big fish later.
Right.
Who knows? Because once P. Diddy's in there, he's going to want to get out.
Right.
He might flip.
Well, yeah, that's right. And he might become some sort of cooperative. He might become some guy where my life's fucked already. They got me.
How can I?
It behooves me to just do something about it. Or is he going to fall on the sword and pull an Epstein?
There you go.
Commit suicide or something, or whatever happened to him. Who knows? That is what needs to be done by the prosecution, though.
Right.
Because, the news is reporting this stuff daily. But the problem with the reports is, what is it tying into? Right? And that's what we're trying to figure out. Guys, this ties into P. Diddy is guilty of RICO, Racketeering, Influence, Corrupt Organization, because he was part of the scheme of sex trafficking individuals in order to not only obtain pleasure, but to use as an extortion tool to further a scheme or separate organization enterprise that is known for sex trafficking, such as within Hollywood or within X thing, which furthers this purpose because by doing this and influencing, he's able to utilize this extortion to help record labels get better deals with these people, knowing that they will do what he says.
But
that is a theme.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. However, here's the thing about Hollywood, man. I mean, nothing leaks.
Nope. That shit's sealed tight.
So if I was a prosecution, I'd do it very subtle.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'll take down this one guy.
Secure here.
Right.
Boom.
And then continue to move.
Yeah. That's exactly how it's going to get done too.
Yeah. So if that's what they're doing, then then I would continue it that way. But I completely agree in terms of, what's the government trying to accomplish? And right now we don't know.
And I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
I guess so, because you got a lot of people saying that nothing's going to change as far as the power dynamics behind. I mean, it goes all areas of entertainment or any industry. In this case, this is the music industry.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people. I saw, a few people.
Yeah, he can't be the only one
saying, "Oh, this isn't going to change anything." They were even comparing it to OJ Simpson 2.0. That's what they're giving the next label
right.
out. How he's going to get away with it,
Shit.
and nothing's going to necessarily happen. I don't necessarily think so. I think it will put some things into light, kind of checking some of the things that might be happening in regards to power dynamics behind the music industry. Change that culture of silence. You know, people stay quiet because they're basically afraid. They're saying, I have no help. I'm alone. And that's not necessarily the case anymore. I think that's all changed since you've had different outlets in social media, from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I think and X as well. I mean, look at the power dynamic that changed behind a democratic run nation for the past, what would you want to say? Maybe
almost 300 years.
Right? Well, but highly influenced through the Democratic Party, where everything was pretty silenced. I'll use Trump against Clinton and Biden currently. As we all know, Trump basically pushed out I don't know, do you call it a tweet still, or what do you call it, just a thread?
It was their truth. He put out a truth.
Right? He put out a truth post, and it got shared all over X, and it was basically him saying, hey, there's no coincidence that pretty much anybody that's ever gone against
the Clintons,
has ended up dead. You know. By the way, I would never kill myself. Just saying that.
Right.
Me either. Shit.
Yeah.
You either, Johnny?
No. I mean,
but it's scary. You know. It's just saying that we're showing you the power of media now for oneself, and how you can use that to unsilence yourselves. Now you can still abuse that. We see a lot of people throwing out false claims too. You know, protect yourself at all costs as well. But I'm just saying it's going to get harder and harder now. You know, the nation changed from being a woke nation to coming back to its true values, and that was the reason why we started this podcast.
And conservatism.
That's right. I don't think we're all right. I think we're more on the centralist side, which is what we brought up. We kind of look at everything and balance it all out.
Right.
But again, being on the right side right now was bringing us more true to the values. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. I guess that's really where we're at, and we'll see as evidence unfolds what we do, and how our opinion changes.
Anything else you guys want to bring up about this? That
I think I'd reserve.
Yeah, right.
I will reserve
till next week. Once we get more information about the cases, because obviously it's not live. We have to wait until this information gets published. So that's when we can speak on it.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll keep in tune with these next few weeks as far as what to see behind this trial, and we'll put our intake into it, and just be better, ladies and gents.
Yep.
Yeah,
be better.
No more freak offs.
No more.
Whether it's a true fit or a white party.
True fit, man. Chinga. 5'6", you got to do it better than Diddy.
Do it better, man. Learn from the Diddies.
Yeah.
From the Diddies of this world.
All right, keep staying tuned, ladies and gents.
Stay tuned, peeps.